Hi there, Let's Talk Sports fans. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of our Let's Talk Sports call-in show. And I'm joined by the ideal person for call-in show, Mr. Nick Bodkins. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing great, Dan. It's another great Friday. We missed last Friday. I was spending some time with the family during the 4th, so it's good to be back with you, ready to answer some questions. And it's a weird time for sports fans, right? Because it's kind of this dead period. NBA free agency's kind of died down right now. We got baseball. We got the big UFC fight this Saturday. So there's still some sports going on, but just seems kind of, there's this little dead in the water a little bit here as we, wait for football to kind of pick back up, and we wait for, we try to get going.
Yeah, I agree. Me and Tanner said last night we had to be careful what we picked as topics, because you're in the dead zone this time of year. But here at LTS, we'll always find something to talk about sports on that.
Amen to that, right? There's always at least one or two things that are happening. So,
So our friend Keith Ringle says two of the best friends for that.
Always thanks, Keith. You're the best. Hope Scott's not keeping you up too late in the nursing home.
Yeah, and if he is, trust me, I'm nice and fresh for our show at 5. But Keith's comment is the perfect segue. He has a question he sent to me just before the show, so I haven't got it as a banner, but it's baseball related. And the Mets, 5-game win streak just recently. Has that changed things? Are they back in the wild card race or even the division race? And should they be buyers or sellers with their recent form in mind? How do you feel about this, Nick? I will say this, recent form aside, in my experience, you can get hot for a while, but you are who you are over a longer run of games, and I think their problems will arise again. I don't know how you feel, Nick.
Well, I feel like they're definitely not winning the division. I just pulling up the standings. They're 5 out of the so they're 5 games below 500 at 41-46. So before this little 6-game winning streak, our 5-game winning streak, they were 10 below 500 and absolutely dog shit. But now they are, but they're 17 and a half out of the East. So they're definitely not winning. They're not catching the Braves anytime soon. Braves look like the best team in baseball. You look at the wild card and you look at the Mets right now, they're 6.5. So they're piddling around that wild card, but are they going to be better than the Dodgers? Probably not. Miami's right there. They look like a real legit threat. They're 2.5 up. So, and then you kind of getting these, teams who have gone on runs here. San Francisco's had a nice run. Philly's kind of had a nice, decent run. So I'm just going to say, I don't think the Mets are going to make the playoffs at all. Wild card or, definitely not the division. So I think that, it's over for the Mets this year. It'll be interesting to see what they do because I don't think that they're gonna. I think they have to sell. I don't know if they're going to sell because they have the highest payroll in all of baseball. They paid these 2 older pitchers, buttload of money. But here's the thing: they're not pitching that great anymore. Their lineup, who scares you in their lineup? Pete Alonso, I guess. They just don't have it. The pieces, I would probably sell. I know Scherzer said he would trade, excuses no trade clause if he could go to somebody that was going to contend. How much does Verlander and Scherzer both have left in the tank? They got more games in the rearview mirror than they do in the windshield. So I don't see the Mets making any sort of moves that are going to help them. I think it's just a wash, and maybe they tear this whole thing down and you try to build it back up again. I don't know, because their owner wants to win now, but the pieces they've added, adding 40-year-old pitchers just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So why not try to just scrap it down, get younger, get some prospects, and try to redo this thing all over again?
Yeah, I agree with that. This team is not at all what we thought it'd be, and the fact what you said there about their most dangerous guy, Pete Alonso. And don't get me wrong, very good player. I also love what he does in the community. But if he's your most veteran or even consistent player, then it's hard to be a contender, because he's kind of a guy you need as a strong complementary piece. He can't be the most veteran threat you've got.
Yeah, I mean they're +1 in run differential now, so that's I guess that's a positive for the Mets, and uh, just kind of looking at their schedule here going forward. They got the Dodgers, or they got the Padres, who are kind of just as disappointing as them. So you have the two of the most disappointing teams in a weekend series. Then they got the Dodgers. That's a series that they'll probably lose. The White Sox stinks, and then they got the Red Sox, and then they got the Yankees coming up after that. So, I don't really, I mean, they're not going to catch any of these teams. I think you just kind of tear this down and go from there. They're Pete Alonso is still hitting, home runs and things like that, but everybody else after that is just not, hasn't been up to snuff, and he's the only person that scares you in their lineup.
Yeah, I agree with that. Can be interesting. I do feel that ownership is a big problem. He was in a hurry, wanted to go 100 miles an hour, and that's why you got um, veteran pitching, and it's hard to build trust in that room with both of them there. So will he be a roadblock in that he doesn't want to tear it down to rebuild
Yeah, you
this?
you look at their two big older pitchers. Max Scherzer right now, ERA of 4. That's not going to get it done. His WAR is 1.4. He's only got 94 strikeouts. He's given, he's given up 37 earned runs. He's in 82 innings pitched. And then you look at Verlander, he's only pitched 64 innings. He's only got 3-4. And he's got an ERA of 3.66. So your two big 1-2 guys, dang near have an ERA of over 4. So
I agree. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And Keith said he might steal some of your opinions for our show, for the New York Sports Show at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's another reason to watch Mr. Keith Engel, channel and his inner Bodkins. So we got a comment from our friends at We're Just Fans podcast.
what's
So
up, Carlos?
we'll keep up a great show.
Yeah, I was just on. Me and Carlos were talking wrestling on Wednesday. So if you missed that out, please check it out. It was a lot of fun talking some wrestling with Carlos from Just Fans.
Yeah, I saw that, and yeah, they're doing great stuff. Speaking, and Carlos has got some really great ideas of stuff he wants to do moving forward. Rios doing a bit more with NBA, so I'm excited to see what they've got coming up. Great group of guys. Um, so we've got a couple of comments. They couldn't send recording in. First one from a new contributor, Michael Constantine, asks about NBA contracts and says, "The NBA contracts are so crazy. He just feels that there's below average guys getting crazy contracts, and he would kind of like, yes, the stars to earn, but some of these players to earn it a little bit more." I wanted to know what your thoughts on this, because this is interesting. The reality is it's today's NBA. Few years back, they fully endorsed player power, wanting players to get paid, and it's kind of what's grown that brand. So I do understand what Michael's saying, but it's just kind of today's NBA. It's what grew the league to the popularity what it is now. I don't know what your thoughts on that is, Nick.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it seems like that the middle level guys are still getting paid pretty good. Bruce Brown got a nice deal. Grant Williams got a huge deal from the Mavericks just the other day. It's just the way the NBA is. They're the most player empowered league. There's only so many guys on the roster, right? Like, it's not like football, it's not like basketball, or I mean baseball. There's only 15 guys on the roster. So you're not paying as much, you're not paying as many people. You're just paying a small amount of people. So those people are making more money because they're not having to pay 30 guys or 25 guys or 40 guys. They're paying just, about 15 people on the roster, and that's it. I think 20 total, but only really maybe 15, I think, on the roster. So it's condensed, and guys are getting moved and making more money. It's just the way it is. That the NBA is the most player-friendly league out of all the major organizations. It's a little bit like soccer in Europe, where those guys get paid a lot of money as well. Stars get paid huge money in the NBA, and dictate more things, right? Like, in the NBA, it's just, hey, every player kind of gets a say, or they, especially stars, you ask for more trades and things like that. We don't quite see that in the NFL or even baseball as much anymore, but the NBA is more player friendly. And if you got to have really good players in the NBA to win championships, is almost generational type players to win championships. So I do think that the NBA is giving out a lot of money, and that's just the way it is. That's the reason why they're so crazy.
Yeah, I do agree. And to be honest, for the most part, it is better for young guys what wouldn't have the wealth. I'd rather players have than owners. And look, there's always going to be pluses and minuses, but yeah, I think it's for the betterment. It's through the brand, worldwide brand. But great question by Michael. Interesting conversation, and I want to welcome Michael to Let's Talk Sports. Has his show, The Sports Corner, from the Con Man. Really excited to add him. Seems very keen, and as we always say, we always welcome new voices to add to the conversation, because the more the merrier at LTS. Um, so Nick, we've got another question, a little bit of a different question from Rojo. And you're trapped on a desert island. what sports star would you bring with you? And he does add, as only Rojo can with his own sense of humour, you might want to consider if it turns at some point to cannibalism, who you're going to fight off. So, um, what's your thoughts on this, Nick?
So trapped on a desert island. Who do I bring? Like, what sports? Who are do I bring?
Yep,
Right? Is that what the question is?
yep, basically.
Oh man, that's a tough one. All right, so how many people do I get? Do I get one or two, or do I get
Sounds
four? Or
like
what's
just one from the voice note he sent me.
one person in the world of sports?
Yep.
I'm on a desert island. Ah man, I feel like man, that's a tough question. Ah man, who do I want? Right now, off the top of my head, I think Michael Phelps because maybe he could swim and go get us some stuff. But I'm trying to think of like a rugged guy that's been there and done that and kind of here's the guy I'm gonna bring. And now weird, I'm not. Hopefully, he doesn't kill me. But the UFC. He's in the UFC. He's the former middleweight champion, Alex Pereira. He grew up in Brazil in a like in the jungle as part of all that stuff. Took even when he was the champ, took his belt back to this village. So he's lived on a village and done that type of thing. So I feel like he's got some good knowledge. Now there'd probably be a language barrier because he doesn't speak great English, but we'll figure that part out. So I'm gonna say off the top of my head right now, I'm gonna say Alex Pereira, UFC former UFC middleweight champion.
Very interesting. I did wonder if you might say Jerry Bauer. I know about your man crush on Jerry Bauer. So if you're going to be trapped on a desert island with someone, it might as well be someone cool.
Yeah, I'm just trying to survive. So I feel like Alex Pierre can help me survive.
Um, Interesting. Now we've got another baseball question in the comments from the birthday boy himself,
Happy birthday,
Bill.
Bill.
Um, So Bill asks about the MLB draft question. Should the Pirates, who should they take in the draft? Dylan Cruz, Paul Skis. He says Cruz for the everyday player Skates could need Tommy John surgery soon. They are reporting that interest. I'm not going to lie to you, Nick. The MLB draft, my knowledge of that isn't great. I'm more learning about the players once they enter the league. I don't know how deep your knowledge is.
I know both of these guys because they both played in the College World Series. I know Dylan Cruz. I just seen a thing today. He's seeking a record breaking signing bonus. So if the Pirates want to pay all that, then by all means go ahead. So I don't know if Cruz. So Skews might need Tommy John surgery. He's a pretty good stud. He was on LSU, and I mean every pitcher's had Tommy John surgery in this day and age. So I think the Pirates will be okay with both, either or. It just all kind of depends on their prospect. But I mean, if they're gonna, Dylan Cruz wants a huge signing bonus. I don't know if the Pirates are always pretty cheap, so I don't know if they'll go that route, and they may just go with Skews just because he might be cheaper.
Yeah, but,
What's up, Bo?
right. Yeah, interesting question from Bill. And yeah, but always great to see you in the comments. I missed that show on Wednesday due to a conference call I had to do, but always great to see Bo in the comments adding his insight. So Nick, we've got a couple of clips to play. The first one being from our guy Alan. So let's see what he has to say. I believe it's a question for you, Nick.
What's up, guys? Love the show. Hope you guys are having a great day. Question for Nick, especially. Out of your star pitchers, Steele, Stroman, and Kyle Hendricks, which one do you think is likely going to get traded before the trade deadline?
Yeah, interesting. So Nick, the floor is yours.
Yeah, that's so I think it's Stroman. Stroman's the free agent. I think they want to keep Justin Steele. He's the homegrown guy. I'd like to keep all three. I want to keep Kyle Hendricks in a Cub uniform as well. I'd like to keep Stroman in a Cub uniform. I don't want to see any of these three guys go. Steele has got the upside, right? He's younger. He's a homegrown kid. Who knows when the last time I couldn't even tell you the last time the Cubs had a homegrown really good pitcher, maybe Kerry Wood, Carlos Zambrano. Like that's how long it's been. Kyle Hendricks, he was drafted by the Rangers, and then he kind of came up through our system. I just like to keep Hendricks around because he's a veteran guy, still gets really good. Still, it's like if he's your third guy, third pitcher, then he's you're going to be sitting pretty. I do like Hendricks. He's been around a long time. Was part of the 16 team is still and is pitching some big games. So I think he's a good veteran guy to have around some of these younger kids. Stroh, I still like, but I do think he's probably the one that's going to go because he's having his best year, free agent at the end of the year. So if the Cubs don't turn this damn thing around, which the Central's still wide open, really, Stroman's probably gone. It doesn't. He wants to stay in Chicago, but it doesn't seem like Jed Hoyer's willing to give this kid an extension for some odd reason. I just don't understand it. But yeah.
Yeah, I find it. I don't know why you wouldn't give him the extension. He could be the guy. What helps catapult you forward. Help some of these young guys. I do understand ownerships don't always want to pay while you're rebuilding, but if you don't, you never hold on to any talent, so you're never getting any better.
Exactly. We gotta. I mean, the Cubs just. I don't know what Jet's doing. Extend these guys. Like, why are these guys walk? Steele's under contract for a couple more years, but I mean, we should have already extended Stroman. Like, he wants to stay there. He's been really good. Why not? Like, just like we can add a piece or two and maybe win this damn division. So I just don't know. I'm ready kind of for Jed Hoyer and the Ross era to kind of end. I don't think that that's going to happen anytime soon either, though.
Yeah, I agree. So I've got a question for you from a good friend, Rob Logan.
It's possible. I don't know. We'll see what happens tonight. I think tonight we'll get that story of Jimmy and Jay and Roman with the Roman Reigns, the trial of Roman Reigns tonight on SmackDown. So I'm excited to kind of see where that storyline leads us. But it seems like that's the logical sense is Roman versus Jay at SummerSlam. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe they surprise us with the Rock appearance tonight. Who knows? But I guess that's to go the storyline. That bloodline storyline of WWE's had so many turns and swerves for us. I'm definitely invested though. See what happens, but I could see that, Rob.
Um, yeah, great. Thanks, Rob, for your comment. Always great to hear from you, sir. Bill asked a question about what went on with Wemby's security team and Britney Spears. Not normally our expertise, more something you see on TMC or something. But my take on it, just quickly, is it's never a good thing to sneak up behind someone. My hunch is maybe with security members, family member or family friend, and he probably shouldn't have let someone sneak up, i.e., Britney Spears, and panicked, and that's what happens. Could be wrong, but that's what I think probably happened.
Well, I think what happened was Victor Wembanyama is so thin, and when they were just like nobody could touch him because he's made of glass because he's so skinny. So as soon as somebody wanted to almost touch him, they didn't care who it was. They didn't care that it was pop star Britney Spears. They just was like, get away from him. We got to get him to the NBA court before he snaps like a little twig that he is. So we'll see what it was just a weird incident, but it sounds like everything's going to be okay.
It is weird, and I will say this. I know there's been a lot of criticism, but how heavy-handed is her security? I would wager pretty much the same. So it sounds weird, but at the same time, um, fresh in the country, I can understand why this might be.
So it was his
something
security
that-
guard, Dan, that hit
yeah,
Brittany. So about
yeah, yeah.
Why does he got a security guard anyway? I mean, did they all walk? I don't really like. To me, Brittany would have security guards, not Victor Wembanyama, but I don't know.
Don't know. My guess is it's a title security guard, but it's really a guy down the street he liked to get high with. So yeah, that's probably it. It should have never got to that stage because if you're a true security guard, then you can't sneak up on anyone. So just a weird story. And yeah, as you said, doesn't seem like any real harm happened. I know she wants an apology, and it doesn't seem like it's forthcoming. They're doubling down on it, so you'll probably hear this will go on for a couple more days.
That's just how boring we are in the world of sports right now. That we make, we're trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. So
Yeah, I agree with that. Now it seems like we can't get rid of Cowboys fans because we've got Paul from Good Wins. Good teams win, great teams cover, asking a question. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Good afternoon, Dan. Afternoons, Bodkins. Hope you're both well. Looking forward to a fantastic show today, as always. Paul Redmond here from Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. I've got a question for you both. I'd like to know who you both think is going to win the offensive and defensive Rookie Player of the Year awards for the NFL in 2023.
Yeah, interesting. These are always who you think it will be will never be. I know people like quarterbacks, but I'd actually wouldn't be surprised if B. John got Rookie of the Year. How you feeling about offensive Rookie of the Year, Nick?
yeah, it's been so long now. I'm looking it up. I'm kind of looking at. So right now the favorite is obviously Bijan Robinson at plus 255. I think it's going to be. What about Jamar Gibbs, man? If Detroit gets going, he could be the guy there. I think Bryce Young, and I'm going to go ahead and say Bryce Young from the Panthers. I just think that division is going to be crappy enough. They're going to win some games and maybe sneak in. But I do like Bijan. I just was trying to kind of go different from you. So I'm going to say I'll say Bryce Young or Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Gibbs is a good call because don't forget the suspensions. They lost their young receiver, so will he get a few more carries? So he could be a outside pick, and I expect him to do very well this year.
Yeah, and then the defense. So right now, I'm just kind of looking at the odds. Will Anderson's the favorite at plus 360. I kind of like. I like Joey Porter Jr. There's just something in Pittsburgh. He's been around. He's a pros guy. and he's huge, plus 2,500 right now. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Joey Porter Jr. It's hard for defense. Jalen Carter's another guy I kind of like. So those are the two ones that I like right there.
I like Will Anderson. I think, especially with a defensive play call, when you could see that. And I know Joey Porter Jr. is having brave reviews coming out, so that could be an interesting name, as you say.
Yeah, those are the two names. I think Joey, just because he's been around. His dad's obviously a Pittsburgh legend. Right place there in Pittsburgh for Joey Porter too. So why not?
So, our friend Rios from We're Just Fans podcast has a question, and it's related to baseball. So let's hear what he's got to say.
Hello, gentlemen. Quick question for you. So, who is the worst person that you know, and why is it Carlos? No, but on a serious note, going into the All-Star break, a lot of teams are starting to distance themselves as far as the division go. So, who are some of y'all's favorites to win their respective divisions?
Interesting. Is there anyone what stands out for you, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give you the whole list right here. So let's go to the standings. So in the East, I mean, I still like the Rays. They're 4 games back. I mean, I know they're on a little skid right now. They've lost 5 in a row, and they're 4-6 in their last 10. But I just feel like they're still one of the best teams. I still like the Rays. Watch out for Baltimore though. So I like them in the East. In the Central, I think my guy Sam's Guardians are going to get it done and win that division. I still like them. It'll be interesting to see what happens with their pitcher if they're going to trade him, but they're kind of right there. In the West, I still think it's the Astros, so that'll warm Rios' heart and hurt Allen's. The Astros are only 2 games back of the Rangers. I just think that they'll eventually take them. In the East, it's still the Braves. I just said that earlier. They're the best team in baseball. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The NL Central, man, it's hard. I think the Brewers right now, they're just the only team that's been steady. Like, they're just constantly playing somewhere near 500, where the Reds and the Cardinals, or the Cardinals are definitely out of it, but the Cubs are, they're 8 back. It'll be interesting to see if the Reds can add a piece and say the Brewers trade Corbin, I could see the Reds taking that. And then out West, I still like the Dodgers in the West to catch the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are in first place right now, but I like the Dodgers still. They'll make a move and or add a piece or two, and so I like the Dodgers to win the West. So that's still kind of and that's kind of the teams I picked to win this thing at the beginning of the year. So I still like those teams.
Yeah, I agree. Astros are just a machine, and Rays, who don't love the story of the Rays, done it the right way, and don't have the biggest market, but they sure know how to develop talent. So I think it's great for baseball seeing what they're doing.
Yeah, and if Johnny and the rest of the people down in Tampa Bay could just actually go to their games, that'd be great. But because nobody goes, so
There is that. I mean, I know there's always been rumors. Will they move again? I would hate to see that, but it does bring an interesting argument that they're just so good. It's a lot of homegrown talent as well. What does it take to get fans to go and see their games?
yeah.
So we've got another baseball call from Peyton Finch, one of our contributors, asking a Guardians question.
For when teams play the Guardians, What's the thought when you face somebody like Josh Naylor, that type of energy? Is that something that is just so frustrating to opposing fans? Because being a Clevelander, we love it. That's my question. And my name's Peyton with the We Like Sports podcast.
Thanks for that, Peyton. And Nick, you're definitely an energy guy. So, what's your point of view?
I think it is annoying. Like I don't even know who he said, but it's just like a person who I think the teams love that guy. You look at Cincinnati and Ella De La Cruz, right? Like what he's done for that team and that energy that he brings. That team has rallied around him. As a opposing fan, I actually like a lot of high energy guys. So I think other teams, especially older managers, don't really like it. But I'm all for it, man. I'm all for high energy guys. I'm all for guys having a lot of fun, especially in baseball where we don't get that quite often. We see it a lot in basketball, and even in football a little bit. But baseball, man, I love young kids who are out there just pimping home runs and having fun. Why do we? It's a game. Let them have fun. Let's live a little bit. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I agree. And we got a comment from a newer podcast of ours. So he had to call in, but I'm sure you can appreciate this. He's a kid has had a dentist um, appointment due to they chipped a tooth, so he had to rush him down there. He adds, how do you see Nolan Smith? How big do you see him doing for the Eagles? Yeah, Nolan Smith, from people what know far more about college football than I do, they rave about this kid. So I'm expecting big things, very strong D line. So he won't necessarily get all the double teams. So I'm expecting him to have a big impact based on what people are saying about this kid. What's your feelings, Nick?
Yeah, I'm with you right there. Like the Philadelphia Bulldogs, right? Like that's what they should be called because they got all the Georgia guys. He's going to a place where everybody knows him as well. He's going with some teammates. They're going to recreate some stuff. Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith. They added even, I think, 2 more Bulldogs as well. So I think he'll succeed, and he could even be a dark horse defensive rookie of the year as well. So I like it for the Eagles. I expect big. I think the Eagles probably the class of the NFC right now, right? I mean, on paper and what they did last year, we'll see what happens, but they got to be the favorites.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Eagles are so fascinating. They lost a few important pieces, but I think they've done a fantastic job of keeping most of what they needed to, absent of Hargraves. And I think they brought in a lot of talent. I'm actually going to post a poll question on their Twitter later. Have they got better or declined a little based on last year to this year? I'm expecting big things from them, and I know our friend Alan don't want to hear that. He's clutching on to, well, teams don't win it 2 years on the bounce, but I think it's there to lose, to be honest with you, even though I know Cowboys fans love mentioning Gardner Johnson left, but I think they've done a good job at bringing in some talent in that position, and I think they're going to get better, to be honest with you.
I do too.
So shout out to Heat Check Podcast, a newer podcast and former military members, so respect to them for that and seemed very keen from a personal point of view. We needed to top up some voices for the Eagles as well, so great to have them on board. Um, So, Nick, before we wrap up, I know there's a big weekend for the UFC. What have we got planned for Sunday's show for the LTS show?
Yeah, so Sunday we will Sunday morning we'll be back live 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll talk a little UFC 290 wrap up. And then we'll have a cruising top five. Johnny Cruz brings a new top five, his favorite top fives of his list, and then we all tell him he's an idiot and tell him how to fix the list. So that's kind of what we got going on Sunday. Then we'll have back on LTS again Monday night with Jonathan Grisham and Jim Behringer talking a little hockey, talking a little baseball, talk a little wrestling as well. So we kind of hit it all the time on the Let's Talk Sports show. So I'm excited to continue that success and continue to see where we the heights that we can reach. So I'm excited. So
Same here, and I'll be going live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, talking with our good friend Keith Engel. Be sure to check me out then, and all what remains is for me to thank you, Nick, for joining me today.
always, Dan, it's always a pleasure. I love doing shows with you. You know that.
For that, Nick, and thank you to everyone what sent calls in for us to play. Everyone what commented or just watched the show. We'll be back next week, and until then, let's talk sport fans. Thanks for watching.